Hello boys and girls, welcome to my channel. I'm ForClassic and welcome to BenchART. So for today what I do have in it is Crusader Kings 3, a game developed by Paradox Development Studio, and it is using their in-house technology called Clausewitz, which was used in games like Hearts of Iron and, well, pretty much Crusader Kings and Europa Universalis, which follows pretty much the same concept as a game. So very quickly taking a look on the settings, I'm playing the game with 1080p using the absolutely maximum settings, because if you select the high preset you still get textures on high instead of ultra, and you get 4 times MSAA instead of 8 times MSAA. So looking to the recommended requirements, you can see that these guys recommend a GTX 1650 or an AMD R9 390X. So I guess we are above of these requirements with our graphic card. It also recommends 8 gigs of RAM and an AMD Ryzen 5 from the 2000 generation, which is actually an APU CPU. So yes, we are clearly above the recommended. So let's check out the results that I did add without recording. So at 1080p the frame rate was great, averaged close to 120 frames per second with a 1% low of 105. So the game runs absolutely with no issues whatsoever, as expected. So jumping up to 1440p, I got an average of 83 frames per second with a 1% low of 67, which is actually also very fine. So you can play the game at 1440p if you want, because the game will be above 60 frames per second. At 4K the things change a little bit. So with median settings I got an average of 76 with a 1% of 59, so some drops below 60 frames per second might appear. The high settings provides an experience above 30 frames per second, and the 4K maximum settings provides an average of 30 and with drops below 30 frames per second. So all these results were just cycling throughout the map, which is exactly what you will be doing throughout the entire game, because Crusader Kings, it is a strategy game where there is no wars. I mean, there is a war, but you just see an icon, a character in the middle of the map, going to the place where you want it to be and performing attack movements on the locations that you want. So the software recorder, for some reason, it is taking a massive hit in performance in here, but there is an area on this map which wasn't really included on the benchmark that kills entirely the performance, which is this impassable terrain, which contains tons of trees, and as you can see the performance just goes to shit. There is no better description than this. Performance just goes to shit. This only happens when you are using high settings. If you use median settings, those trees doesn't really exist. It's just a plain terrain over there. But honestly, given the importance that terrain have to the game, which is absolutely zero, I wouldn't be worried about that, and I would just be worried about the performance throughout the entire map. And like I told you, at 1080p, the performance, it is above 100 frames per second, so you don't have anything to worry about. So what about the game? Well, the game itself, I never played the Crusader Kings before, and I didn't really took too much time playing it, because this is not really my cup of tea, honestly. And I have gone through the tutorial for about half an hour, and that was a lot to take in. That is absolutely tons of stuff inside this game, which I believe that it should be amazing for people that does enjoy it, but I was so confused with that I didn't understand anything about it. The only thing that I do understand is that you are a king and you need to have an heir or a son where you can pass throughout generation to generation. If your heir dies, if your son dies, or anything, or anyone where you are going to left your crown dies, you lose the game because you have no heritage. Alright, so the objective in here is to construct a family, marriage to other queens and stuff like that, so that you can continue your royal family. But the thing is, the objective it is also to conquer the adjacent countries as expected, and you can do this by just marrying some of their queens or princess, whatever, and also performing battles. But most of the time this game it is all about decisions over time and character stats, so you need to take decisions over the stats and personalities of each character. So I don't have too much more to talk about Crusader Kings because I don't understand anything about it. So I'm honest with you, I don't understand too much about the game, but what I do know so far is that this game, it is very well classified by the reviews. The scores are pretty much between 90 to 95. So for people that do enjoy this type of game, I'm pretty sure it is amazing. I just decided to do this video because, well, despite it's not really my cup of tea, and it is a game that it is mostly different than the others because you are just looking into a map, I thought that you should have the right at least to see how the game runs. Alright, so I think that's all that I want to talk about the game. Thank you a lot for watching, and I do hope to see you soon. Goodbye.